All right, well, we are to the point in the teardown that we have removed just about everything we can from the top head of this vehicle. We are ready to start draining fluids in the next day or two so we can remove the electric powertrain. Unfortunately, we have not gotten an over-the-air update from Ford, so our friends at 3IS haven't been able to take a peek and see what that's doing. But we're still, just for some fun, gonna see if it'll go into gear, see if it drives around. I've been told that it does go into gear, but nobody knows if it'll roll yet or not and what it'll do. So we've got a stool in here to sit on, and we will go for a quick drive in the parking lot again if we can make it that far. All right, well, the vehicle drove the same as it did when it had all of its pieces still on it. I was able to get it up to about 20 miles an hour in the parking lot. It's giving us all sorts of warnings now because we've taken all sorts of stuff off of it, but it drives the same as it normally would. I think if I was able to get it out on the freeway, it'd still go 70 miles an hour down the freeway. So just a different thing that we did this time during the teardown. Something interesting to take a look at, something fun for us to do in the shop.
Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Munro Live, and today we're standing in front of the VW ID.4. The reason for that is because Uncle Sandy don't like it when people say, oh, Sandy doesn't understand engineering. I've been on dozens and dozens of car programs. I led them, I worked on them as just a grunt, and I brought them into assembly plants and everything else. And when somebody says that kind of stuff, and by the way, not just cars, but airplanes, was number 3 on the 787. I kind of know a lot about engineering. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at my favorite frunk in the world, this one, which isn't a frunk. So if you have a look in here, you can see that there's not enough room to hide a dead cat. Everything here is like chock-a-block. And you ask yourself, oh my gosh, I guess they couldn't have a frunk with all of this in it. Well, there's a reason for that. And today, myself and Uncle Ben are going to have a look at why things look like they look here, because the guys at Volkswagen neglected some gigantic amounts of space underneath the instrument panel. So let's let Ben take it away and show you what's going on over on the instrument panel.
All right, on a typical automotive vehicle, the HVAC unit, the temperature control box, is located inside the IP. We've heard some things that the IP on this vehicle is smaller to increase the passenger capacity inside. Well, we were taking a look at these. We have the Mach-E here, we have the ID.4, so we were kind of comparing between them. They look the same, so we're gonna take some measurements today to see if this is actually a smaller IP. Are you getting more passenger space inside? So just taking a look at the vehicle, or at the IP in the door, you can see it's a very standard automotive IP. It doesn't look a whole lot smaller from the windshield to the front of it. It's all about the same size. We'll take a few quick measurements. Still the same size. Looking at the where the door opening height is, we've got 15 inches there, and it sticks into the vehicle about 7.5 inches. I'm looking from the A-pillar coming out, trying to get a pretty close straight line dimension. It's coming in 18 to 19 inches from the A-pillar to the end of the IP. Over in the middle of the vehicle.
You want to hold one in?
If you could, please. Get this untwisted.
There we
We're
go.
coming out about 25 inches to the end of the IP. Looking on the bottom side of the IP, again, underneath where your feet would go. This is very similar again to what the Mach-E is, but it is coming out, again, the same 25 inches that we saw on the top. So what are they doing with all that space inside there now? Sandy, if you want to take a look on the underside.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to crawl in here as best I can, and I'm going to look up and see what I can see. And when I get up here and I look around, guess what I'm looking at? A lot of nothing. This is wide open. There's nothing in here. Nothing. This area is usually fought over. What we call space claim in the business, this is big deal for space claim. And there's nothing in here. And we don't understand why, but I know right now, anybody that thinks that my 53 years of being in the automotive industry precludes my ability to do engineering is wrong. When you've got zip underneath here, you're going to have to fill it up someplace, and they decided to use the frunk as an engine bay. And an engine bay isn't what people want. People want space that they can use. An instrument panel is a gigantic place to hide stuff, just like underneath your seat or where there's no usable space inside of your center console. You don't just ignore it and let it go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a look at the exact same stuff that's sitting inside of the Mach-E. So let's just cut from here and head over there. Okay, so here we are in front of the Mach-E, and again, you can could hide a body in this. This has got a lot of room, and the reason for that is because, quite frankly, the guys at Ford decided to take advantage of the instrument panel volume. But first, we had to find out how much better or worse the Ford is than our friends over here with the VW. So Ben, you're on again.
All right, we'll take the same measurements we took while we were looking at the Volkswagen, looking in the door opening at the IP. Again, this one sticks out 9 inches from the door frame, but the door frame doesn't necessarily tell us how big the IP is. On its height, here we're looking at about 15 inches for height. If we look at the A-pillar, as far forward as I can reach here, coming out to the end, we're at 16 inches for the IP. And if we look over in the middle, let me find a
Convenient
so what we
one.
got there, if you could reach up, Sandy, and we pull out,
Got it.
and we are only coming out about 23 inches at our furthest point.
So it's actually tighter than what we've got on the VW.
Yep, and then if we look on the underside, again, trying to get the same measurement, we're coming out about 23 inches again here from the bottom of the IP. So this is actually a smaller, tighter IP than what Volkswagen has.
So if we look underneath here, I can tell you right now, there isn't going to be a nickel's worth of space. I've already been under this thing once, and it was no easy trick, but I can tell you for sure that coiling up into this, here, I'll tell you what, this is not the way I did it last time. Let's do this. Okay, it's a lot tighter in this cabin than we saw in the VW. So I'm going to take full advantage. I already know what I'm going to see or not see, and the guys at Volkswagen have nothing in theirs. Whereas here, I can't even get my hand in. I mean, everything you can imagine has been squashed inside here, so that they could take advantage of giving the customer more room in the frunk. Ugh. Man alive, are you sure old people are supposed to do this? Anyhow, today Today, the engineer has to think more about the customer and less about what's good for him. It was easy to fill up the frunk area for Volkswagen. Easy. It's not good engineering. We have to remember continuously that it's the customer that's paying all the big bucks. That's why we've got a job. It's not for us to make it easy for the engineer. The idea is to come up with the best possible product with the highest possible quality and the best safety. And that's kind of like what we are seeing here when we look at this frunk design from Ford on the Mach-E. So anyway, let's go and have a look at the hatch, because there's some interesting stuff on that too. So over here on this side is the Mach-E hatch. And over there next to Ben is the Tesla Model 3 hatch. So Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Ford has chosen to go with a composite structure for their liftgate. They have a Polypro glass fill 40% inner structure. You can see this is all injection molded as one piece. They've got reinforcement structure, so it's where they need, they have these X patterns in here, and then where they attach to the hinge points, you can see there's some molded in steel inserts. So they did this to help reduce with weight. Instead of having a large steel piece that the Tesla has, they've gone with a composite structure to make it a little bit more lightweight. It's interesting that this is where Ford chose to lightweight. They've left steel fenders, steel doors on the rest of the vehicle, but they went to a composite liftgate.
My guess is that whomever worked on this engineer right here, was probably looking at maybe taking a little more risk than maybe his brothers or sisters on the door panel, because this is a really good design. For those who haven't looked at the video that we did with Sabik, this is kind of what Sabik was proposing, something similar to this. So you can see these have got lots of complex shapes that give you instant features that you don't have to weld or machine, or in the case of the Tesla, weld in place. The one thing that we do need to put out though is that there's a slight difference in the weight. The Ford weighs about 22 kilograms, and the Tesla is sitting there at about 26.7 kilograms. That's about an 18% weight savings for Ford. The aperture size is 53 by 53 for the Tesla, and that's about 2,800 square inches. And the Ford is sitting here at 52 by 45, so it's 2,340 square inches. And that's about a 16% bigger size for the Tesla. So what is that doing for Ford? Well, for one thing, the Ford product is probably going to cost slightly more, but that'll diminish over time. With the Tesla is already running at high volume, so they're going to get X. These guys are not anywhere close to high volume yet, but this mold will probably over time pay off better than the stamp product that you got sitting over there, even though the Tesla is probably less expensive. The hatch is less expensive. Anything else we need to ask here, Ben, or add?
Nope, I think we've covered it all from the hatches today.
Okay, good. Well, stay tuned, and we'll be talking to you soon. By the way, we're filming this before the 4th of July, and for those of you who are in the U.S., and actually Canada, because Canada's birthday is on the 1st, I'd like to wish you a very, very happy Independence Day, or in Canada it used to be called Dominion Day. I am really, really proud to be a North American citizen, both of Canada and the United States. There's absolutely no place on the planet, and I've been everywhere, that's quite like the US and Canada. We have birthdays that are pretty close to each other. I really hope everybody can have a wonderful and safe holiday through this coming weekend. Anyway, thanks so much, and have a great day. Don't forget those cashiers. Thank you. Bye.